it after.
Beautiful. Okay, so welcome everyone to our third Lunch and Learn for our volunteers this year. We're grateful for your time and for you being here. We'll try not to carry on too much. And I'll give again space for anybody to ask any kind of questions that they might need answered that's relevant to this presentation. Again, it's focused on Program for Minors. So anytime you have direct contact with youth and we're supervising them solely from our office as volunteers, you guys have to follow the same protocol that Ian and I follow when we host Program for Minors programming as well. So let's get started. I went with a black and white theme because as we move through the presentation, you'll realize that working with other people's children is a very black and white matter, particularly as it relates to compliance on a legal platform. So I went with a black and white theme. There we go. Okay, so programs for minors. Why do we do it? Well, here is a definition that got shared with Ian and I through our powers that be. It provides minors recreational, athletic enrichment, and or educational activities in a safe, nurturing environment. So you're all volunteers listening in here. Why do we do it? Because we love the kids and we want to make impact on their lives. We want to enrich their lives with our programs that we offer at the office, and we want to work with children. Well, that is wonderful. That's why Ian and I are both in the field of education too, because we love working with the community, including youth and adults. However, when it comes to hosting a program and being responsible for other people's children, it gets a little bit more legal than because we love children. Okay, so you'll see where I'm going with this. So as far as the A&M system, I apologize, it's a little bit blurry, but I copied this directly from our district specialist PowerPoint that she shared with us. This is how the A&M system as a whole views programs for minors. So again, you notice it got very legal very quickly. Went from our beautiful pictures of our local 4-H kids to this. This is how they see Program for Minors. The definition down there includes programs for minors sponsored and operated by members of the Texas A&M University system, and third-party programs using member facilities must follow this regulation. This regulation requires child abuse training for employees and volunteers of programs for minors and establishes system-wide standards for such programs. So y'all all notice it went from one thing to legal very quickly. And so this is where we're going with it today. So let's keep moving on. Ian, do you have anything to add so far? I do not want to skip over you.
No, ma'am, not right now.
Okay. You chime in if you want, okay? Okay. More definitions from the A&M system. For the purpose of this regulation, this definition, so this is the exclusions. Does not include these programs. So if our audience is exclusively a Texas A&M system enrolled student or employee under the age of 18, this does not include our audience very often. This next one, where fully supervisory duties of the minor are the responsibility of the minor's parents, legal guardians, teachers, or official chaperones who are not member employees. We do fall into this category as it relates to our club meetings when the parents are there, or ag days out in the community when the teachers are bringing the students to us. So these are exceptions, and it'll make more sense as we move on. The last one is where the minors involved. So if we have minors involved as presenters at our programs, where the minor is they are part of the purpose of the activity, but the minor is not the supervisor. So these are three exceptions to regulations as it relates to programs for minors. Again, this will all make well more sense when I give a practical application here in just a minute. The reason for me showing you these two slides is really, this is how Ian and I get trained. Programs for minors is a very serious topic as it relates to full supervisor positions of other people's children. And as parents, I know that we'll probably listen to this. We appreciate these kind of regulations as it relates to our children going to different programs. I pray and hope when Cora and Teddy are out there at their school district, or they're involved in another 4-H activity on the state level, or anything where I'm giving church camp, whatever, when I'm giving my children to other adults to supervise, I hope and pray that they have these system regulations in place just in case something goes wrong. So I'm grateful for all this, but it's a little muddy until you practically apply it. So let's do that. Okay, so programs for minors, the way it breaks up is they're categorized under a level 1 or a level 2. Level 1 activities are primarily our lower risk activities. These kind of activities are day camps, workshops, our club meetings, our project meetings and practices, things with low impact physical activity, and hosting field trips. Those are some example activities, but I want to bring your attention to the other two statements on the slide. The key word here is this: parents and legal guardians or their designee, which is a teacher, are present, and the AgriLife designee, i.e. you as a volunteer, or Ian and I as an employee, as an agent, we do not have full supervisor responsibilities. So it is a level 1 activity at a club meeting when the parents are still in the room. It shifts to something different that we'll get to in just a minute when the parents are doing a drop-off situation. Now, if you've been within the 4-H program for many years, at least since I've been in here, you've heard me tell you that the expectation for club meetings and project meetings is that the parents stay. And this whole presentation is going to reiterate why that is a way safer option for volunteers hosting than having a drop-off situation, because you're going to see a very different requirement now for a level 2 activity. So again, a level 1 activity, if the parents are still in the room, it's a level 1. Okay, the parent is still assuming full supervisory role over their children. Okay, so that releases liability on us. The ratio at that point can be one of us, staff or volunteer, to 25 kids, because again, their parents are in the room, right? So we have unofficial eyes on those children that are going to assume the responsibility for those children. So the ratio is quite high. This also wants us to keep in mind that no adult, no AgriLife employee, Ian or I, or a screen volunteer should ever be one-on-one with a youth. That protects both us and the youth involved. The ratio should never be 1-to-1. You should never be alone with someone else's child, period. So any questions about level 1 so far? Ian, did I miss anything, or do you want to add anything up to this point?
You know what, ma'am? I don't think you missed anything. I would just point out, like for my master gardeners that are joined here with us, this wouldn't necessarily follow. I'll use the farmers market. That's something that's open to the community. They're there. So for my master gardeners, this isn't something that aligns with that. This is only when we are hosting a program that is, y'all are the designated hosting, like it's having a program in our heritage garden or in our meeting room next door, and we are inviting kids from 4-H or from the community in. So like a farmer's market doesn't apply to it, even though there are children around and they're coming up.
Yes, I love that. Okay, let's keep going. So we're still on level ones. If we are hosting a program, we are hosting it. The parents are going to stay. It's something similar to these activities. This slide tells us what compliance requirements are required of us as a host. Okay, so as a host for a level one activity, you have to collect the indemnity form. The activity itself should have already been approved in Ian or I's program, our plan of work in our Tamed portal. So for 4-H club meetings, for 4-H project meetings, those are all pre-approved by Ian and I's RPL. We make the program plans in July. We're going to have ours approved before August. And so all that is done by Ian and I. Background screening, this is all done when you sign up as a screened volunteer via 4-H Online or the EVS system. ADA accommodation statements need to be on all marketing items. So on our flyers, we need to make sure we are offering any accommodations for developmental disability audiences, and that needs to be stated on our flyers. I do know that they're coming out with a new equal opportunity statement from the federal level, and so we'll send that update out for marketing materials when we get it. Ian and I were just told that last week. They're coming out with a new equal opportunity statement. This ADA accommodation statement is something separate. It lets audiences know when they see our stuff on social media. We make accommodations for all abilities. All are welcome to join us. And then the completion of the child protection training. Again, those are through our that's what you go through already as a screen volunteer. So these are the compliance requirements moving forward when we start our new 4-H year, our new Master Gardener year, a new programming year. These will be the compliance requirements moving forward. I did put a little note on there for 4-H club managers and project leaders that are attending or will listen to this. As far as that indemnity form and the ADA statement and the equal opportunity statement, we can give those to you directly. You don't have to go searching for those. Does anybody have any questions about level one? So that's what they are. That's the compliance requirements. You feel pretty good? Okay. Not much is different, but there are some changes. So anyway, okay, let's keep going. We're going to move on to a level two. So level two is an activity, obviously, that is of moderate or higher risk than a level one. And this is the situations where the parents are not present and AgriLife employees or designees, i.e. volunteers, have full responsibility over someone else's child. Examples of this is transporting children anywhere, within the county, within the state, out of the country. If you're transporting somebody else's youth in honor of a 4-H program or an AgriLife program, it is automatically a level two activity because you are alone with someone else's child and you're in a moving vehicle. So you can kind of see where all this is going. One or more overnight stays. To my knowledge, on a county level, we don't have those kind of programs going on right now. We don't offer a county camp or anything like that. But it is included as a level two. Moderate level or physical activities. So say you are taking kids for a fun team building exercise at a ropes course. You're driving them there without the parent, and you're going to be doing extra physical activity. It obviously falls within this level two activity. Lastly, any activity without the parent. This is an easy way for me to communicate to you as volunteers. Anytime you are in 100% responsibility supervisor role of someone else's child, it is a level 2 at that point, no matter what you're doing. The ratio shifts in level 2. It shifts to a 1-to-8. So 1 screened volunteer to 8 youth. And then also noting with level 2s, again, 1-to-1 ratios with other people's children is never recommended, period. It's not best practices at all. So does anybody have a question of what a level 2 is? Because we're going to get to the compliance requirements next. We're feeling pretty good about this. You can kind of see it's very cut and dry, right? Level 1s, the parents are there. Level 2, it's when we have other people's children in our care without the parent. So here goes the requirements for those activities. So you have all of the level 1 compliance requirements, the indemnity form and medical authorization for every participant. It's approved in EN&I's work plans and tamed. You are a Black background screened volunteer as the direct host. We've got the ADA statement on the flyer as we market it, and you've completed the child protection service training. So you've done all of that. In addition to that, you will have to complete a risk assessment matrix. And again, all these documents we have access to directly. So if you're interested in hosting a level 2 program, number 1, we should know, EN&I should know about it before the program year begins in September, because we have to get it approved by our RPLs in the summer months. And so again, we can give you all those forms when you tell us that you're going to host that activity. In addition to the risk assessment matrix, we have to collect an HSS form. Again, that form looks like a yes and no as far as current medical issues from all participants. A job description document needs to be completed. Again, this is an overnight chaperone situation. Providing adequate supervision ratio. Again, we need to know well ahead of time who's going to be there, who's screened volunteers, how many participants will be there. We have to keep in that 1-to-8 ratio. There needs to be an itinerary and roster submitted before the event. EN&I, depending on what program area it falls under, will report all of these documents and information into a separate portal called FormSite, and then submitting the DSDHS form. Again, we'll have there's a lot of forms, guys. Okay. Bottom of the line is, if you're going to host a level 2 activity, key things to remember here. EN&I need to know this summer if you're going to do a level 2 program type activity within the next 4-H year. I think we set our RPL program plan meeting with our 2 bosses late July. So we need to know before late July. Well, Ian, when are our program plans due? July 1st. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That, but I do believe they are due July 1st, and I do believe that our
meeting's July 23rd, isn't it? I think something like that.
Yes, ma'am. July
Okay.
23rd is when we set up our meetings with Larry and Brittany.
Okay. So the moral of the story of that is EN&I need to know if you are going to host a level 2 activity before July 1st. So if you are a club manager, if you are a project leader and you are listening and watching this training, EN&I need to know if you plan on hosting a level 2 activity before July 1st, because that will allow us plenty of time to get all the forms, to get this planned in the proper way, how the A&M system expects us to do this, but well before the activity occurs. Okay. I put a picture of my summer day camps as an example over here to the left. This day camp, even though day camps was on the level one, because these children will be in my care. Now, some parents have already let me know that they are going to stay. I will have a handful of families that will leave their children in my care for those 3 hours. I am going through these compliance requirements right now. To host this program series in July. So Ian and I are not exempt to this process. So when we host things as agents, we go through this. Anytime we're going to have kids in the room, we decide at the very beginning, is this a level one? Are the parents staying? Or is this a level two? The parents are leaving. If it's a level one, we follow those level one compliance requirements. If it's a level two, we go and do this additional level two compliance requirements. I can tell you, uh, it's not impossible. It just requires a lot of planning ahead of time, which, if you think about it through the eyes of a parent, you would only want this kind of care to be taken if you were going to trust your child in the full care of another adult. So it seems like a lot of things. But I think when I look at it through my mom eyes, I'm grateful for it because I would want anybody else to handle the care of my child this serious, particularly if they're staying overnight at a camp or they're going to be there for multiple hours. I wouldn't want it to be all willy nilly. Um, Anyways, does anybody have any questions as it relates to what I've said so far? Are you still with me? Okay. Haven't bored anybody to bits yet or scared anybody off? Okay. Okay, I put this on because again, like I've been saying, this is very relevant to our 4-H club managers and project leaders. The forms that have been mentioned, either level one forms or level two forms, we will hand those directly to you as they apply to the activities that you're hosting. Master gardeners or TIA that might watch this or are present right now, just to give you a bird's eye view of our youth program in the office, we have currently 4 active clubs. We have one in Lone Oak, one in Caddo Mills, one here in Greenville, and then one in Wolf City. All of these clubs have both a club manager and an assistant manager. And then these are the current project groups we have in our youth development. We have an archery project group that meets. We have a horse project group. We have shooting sports that meet. We have a goat project that meets, and then we have a photography group that meets. So I put this slide in here so if you are involved as a volunteer with any of these events, you are hosting level one activities primarily, but depending on your goals as a project leader or a club manager, maybe some activities you have in mind could start to fall into that level too. So I put this on here to draw special attention. If you're involved with the things on this slide right here, this is extremely relevant information to you as a volunteer with us. Okay, that's why that's here. And like Ian said, if you're a master gardener hosting a youth program, you will be also included into this. We just don't have any currently. Okay. Lastly, as we wrap up, we did our first lunch and learn session was all about documentation. It was documentation 101. If you viewed that, it included a lot of our reporting compliance requirements. Just wanted to plug it in here as well, because again, this is behind the scenes mandatory compliance because we work with other people's children. So mandatory reporting as it relates to suspected neglect or abuse. And we have all taken that training through when we register as screen volunteers, immediately reporting to law enforcement, reporting of incidents and accidents. Big thing to remember about that is if an incident or accident happens at one of your activities that you're hosting. Ian and I need to be called immediately because our expectation from our superiors is that within 48 hours, we have to have that fully documented and submitted in an online portal within 48 hours of the incident. So just to reiterate, if you're having a Saturday program, something happens, no matter what, after you address the minor or major issue, if the hospital or the doctor or the ambulance needs to be called first, that's the first call. We're your second call. Once the incident or accident is under control in real time, Ian and I, depending on the program area, need to be your second call, even if it is on a weekend day, because again, we stop whatever we're doing wherever we are, and we go into documentation mode because the expectation from our district administrator is, and the Texas A&M system is, within 48 hours, all the paperwork needs to be out of our hands and submitted in that portal. And there is no exception past the 48 hours. Reporting behavioral issues. Texas 4-H has there's a whole, what am I trying to say? There's a whole bunch of information as a code of conduct as it relates to our 4-Hers on the Texas 4-H website. Obviously, we follow the Texas 4-H rules and guidelines that's on the Texas 4-H website. And that's where you can find that lengthy code of conduct. And it's got consequences of misbehavior. And as Hunt County youth programs, we follow that Texas 4-H rules and guidelines and code of conduct as they stated. We don't have any other rules as of it stands right now that includes different code of conduct or consequence behavior. We follow whatever Texas 4-H says currently. Okay. Did I miss anything on there, Ian?
No, ma'am. I would just add for any of the volunteers, I know, I think maybe just a very few of you have my direct cell phone number. Let me know if you need that because, again, like Mary said, if it's weekends, no matter what is going on, if you're hosting an event and something happens, we need to know right away. So if you are one of the people that need my number, please get with me so then that way I can get that to you. So that way, if something does happen, you have the availability to be able to get a hold of both me or Mary.
Yes, I love that. And it kind of goes back to letting us know what you're going to be doing. I know with my club managers, we have charter meetings coming up at the end of this month and the beginning of June. That is the opportunity to let Ian and I know what your goals and your plans are as it relates to hosting activities outside of the regular club meeting. That way we can begin planning then. We will have it in our plan of work as of July 1. You will have all the documentation and forms that you need to move forward for the planning purposes. And at that time, you'll have direct contact with Ian and how to get a hold of Ian and I directly when those activities are going on. So again, just the planning part of it, letting us all know ahead of time, getting every bit of this compliance requirements completed and done well before the activity. That is the expectation from the A&M system. Our district 4-H specialist follows the same protocol. Every extension agent follows this protocol. And to my knowledge, anybody within the Texas A&M system, as it centers around the College Station campus, has to follow this exact same protocol. So 4-H is included. Our programs for minors is included. And so they're the ones making the guidelines. Ian and I have not took it upon ourselves to make any further guidelines outside of this. So just want to put that out there. I added this in because I know when we get to talking about documentation and it starts to feel like this heavy weight on our shoulders. I know when Ian and I first heard this information in a room with all the district extension agents, a lot, including full-blown 4-H agents, we all felt this weight on our shoulders, and everybody started to think, well, what is the point of working with kids anymore? It's becoming too hard. Legal things are, it's this new age where we're having to document everything. And I don't want us to leave this meeting, if you're at home watching it or if you're here in person, I don't want us as our volunteer base to start to feel like this is not worth it. I just want you all to know how grateful Ian and I are for your service to the agency. And I loved this quote because I know that volunteers don't necessarily have the time, because I know the faces of our Hunt County volunteers. I know y'all don't have the time, but you do have the heart and you show up for us and our kids every every time you have the opportunity to be available. So we're grateful for you. Don't let anything in this presentation deter you from being inspired to host programs with minors. We just need to follow the exact protocol to keep you safe as a volunteer and free of liability in case something goes wrong. And we have to follow this within the A&M system. Ian and I do anyway. So we're in it together is all I want you to know. And we're grateful for you being willing to stick with us. Some of you have been with us for a very long time, and this is going to be something new. These are extra forms to fill out, extra things to do, probably be from when you very first became a volunteer, but just know that it's doable. You're not doing it alone. You're not out there on a limb. Ian and I are right there with you. We're going to walk you through everything as the time comes and when it's applicable. So I think that's the end of it. Does anybody want to unmute and do you have any questions, concerns? I can stop I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other's faces, and I'm going to stop the recording as well.